It is now evening, Maddrift. As always, I express my gratitude to our wonderful Empress and the Queen's Guard she has stationed here with us for our protection. There is a minor issue I need to address immediately this evening. Several of the new Queen's Guard, 3 to be exact, were attacked today. I understand that tensions are high after our recent losses, and the new faces joining us as familiar ones leave. There's bound to be some confusion, though I certainly didn't expect it to get out of hand like this. The incident in which I am referring to happened near the Dove Board sometime after midday today. A citizen was complaining about the Queen's Guard taking up rooms at the Soar Desert and forcing citizens to wander during the day and sleep at the school after light set and the evening narrations have begun. The Queen's Guard verbally provoked them first. This should be admitted. However, the result was that the 2 Queen's Guard who tried to then stop the fight that was ensuing then were pulled into it, as was every citizen nearby, who immediately sided with the other citizen who was initially complaining after being provoked. And clearly, since I have to mention it over the nightly narration, things got out of hand. Now, I am not taking sides on this. I want to be very, very clear about that, Maddrift, but you have all been warned about voicing your complaints too openly outside of the complaint jar. It is the safer way to do it. Put it in writing, let Gonjan go through it, let me see it, but keep it quiet. The Queen's Guard should not have attacked you or said what they said to you, but none of you should have immediately resorted to violence as you did, or even jumped into the fray without having been initially involved either, just because you saw some fighting happening. And rest assured, for those of you who were not involved, thankfully, that everyone who was involved, including the 3 Queen's Guard, are currently spending the evening under the chastising watch of Extinction Keeper Laos within my home tonight. That is to say, they are all locked away in the public areas of my home near Gonjan's desk, because the cells that we have are currently occupied. I trust Extinction Keeper Laos to keep them in line, and hopefully tomorrow we can all simply get along as we had been doing for quite some time. Now, moving on. I plan to read some suggestion jar notes this evening and had Gonjan set aside ones that are likely to prompt me to talk about them longer or wander into similar topics based on what they say. I asked her to do this because I don't want to just read your suggestions and give you simple answers and move on, as has happened quite regularly when I read these notes in the past. You're stuck writing these notes because I don't have time to speak with you directly, but that doesn't mean you deserve any less attention than those who happen upon me during the day when there is enough time for me to set things aside for them. I am Town Judge Tolphier, and I aspire to live up to that title not just because it was recently regifted to me, but because that was my aspiration from the start, and it's what I want from another if they were in my position and I in any of yours. It only feels right. But back to my point, the suggestion jar notes. The first one here reads, "Please let us know when the wagon gets to Queenstown. My daughter misses her friend and wants to know she has arrived safely." This is a well-delivered suggestion, and I will be happy to oblige it. However, the wagons couldn't have possibly made it back just yet, as they only left after lightrise today. I will request through Extinction Keeper Laos or one of the enchanters in regular communication with our capital city that we be informed of everyone's safety once the wagons reach their destination. I don't want to put any sour notes on your hopes here, but the wilds of Desivia are filled with things equally dangerous, if not more so than just the feasting death that Maddrift is plagued by. If I receive bad news, I will be careful with how I share it so as not to give more details than necessary about the outcome, but I hope to report within the week that they have arrived safely with no casualties and everyone in good health. So please, Maddrift, look forward to that good news. We could all stand to look forward to good news. Next, we have you ramble and stutter. Ramble and stutter, I assume. When announcing, you have time to take a breath, and you say yourself, you can pause, so please go slower and stop you spooter. I'm not sure what that last word is meant to be. Sputter, stutter, your point comes across well enough. I know exactly why Ganjin included the suggestion jar note this evening without fixing any of it, but I'll get to my thoughts on that after I directly address what you've written. I have said before that the enchanters believe I can take slightly longer pauses between my words without it causing any difference in the reactions of the feasting death. However, much of what I narrate through the evening is based off notes I have written for myself, and sometimes my thoughts don't align in my current mood with what I wrote for myself beforehand, or I'm not sure what to say at all when I stop reading and I'm simply speaking you directly from what is on my mind, especially in moments like this where I have to respond to something that I've just read for the first time. When I trip over what I wrote and what I'm actually thinking, I stutter, or I have to repeat myself. There are times when I am simply too tired to realize I'm slurring a little or stuttering, as well as moments of nervousness that cause me difficulty with my words. I am the town narrator because I am the town judge, Maddrift. This is not something I expected to be doing for you all. I am not a storyteller. I assure you I'm not intending to ramble and stutter as often as I do. This is part of my learning process, Maddrift, just as you are all still learning how to cope with the evening narration in general, and the brightness of the arcane lamps, and even the Queen's Guard learning how to live out here among us in the middle of all this. I love our town. They have to come and learn how to live with us in the middle of our beloved town, despite all the dangers that surround us. As for the reason why Ganjin likely put this here for me to read this evening, it is because, and I may have mentioned this before, I want to provide education to the working age citizens of Maddrift. If you have trouble reading, writing, understanding a decent number or words you hear used often enough to take notice that you don't know them, I want to provide you with opportunities to sharpen these skills and learn. I am actively in correspondence with the school, and at least 2 teachers so far have expressed their willingness to take extra hours each day and teach the adults the same reading and writing comprehensions that they are teaching the children. It will not be free. The instructors still need paid, of course, but it will cost no more than what is paid to send a child to school for the day, and it won't take up as much time since it is focused on reading and writing rather than the other topics we are currently educating our youth here in Maddrift with. And on that note, I am still devising a plan for the enchanters to teach those of you who are magically inclined to any degree. I haven't worked anything out to my own satisfaction yet, but once I do, I will most likely need to rework it a few times until the enchanters are also happy with the proposal. But like I said earlier, keep your hopes high, Maddrift. Now, I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this evening, but it's weighing steadily heavier on my mind, and I feel I must, and I don't think I've taken up nearly enough time during the nightly narration to stop yet, so this is as good a time as any to bring it to the forefront. This is not about another suggestion jar note. It's not even about a complaint jar note. To likely no one's surprise, I received a rather crude complaint the other day in the form of a letter. The nature of its contents are not as explicit as they could be, but that's likely only because if they were any more plain with their intentions, I wouldn't have received the letter at all, and the writer would have been facing the Queen's Guard, or worse. They were wise enough not to put their name on the letter, and crafty enough to vandalize some books and cut out words and make the process of reading this quite difficult, but I can't even have their writing to look at to guess who they are, so I must say I actually find the letter even stranger and more foreboding because I have no way of figuring out who wrote it. I'll not cut corners here, Maddrift. The note is blasphemous. The person who wrote it needs to heavily reflect on their opinions of not just us here, Maddrift, but of Tolphier as a whole. It quite plainly, treacherously states that Maddrift is only fodder when it needs to be, and places users as guests or prosperous citizens of our great land. They complain that those who left in the wagons weren't any better suited to leaving anyone else, and I gathered from the complaint that they wish they had left their land. So they feel trapped. They claim that we are all trapped. Our lives here are ending. The Queen's Guard are jailers, not times. They even believe that extinction allows us to make Maddrift go extinct if it becomes necessary. They will kill every civilian and other citizens live by silence of the law. It's never existence. They baselessly claim the wagon that just left isn't even taken to the machines. We left full of bait and released to death by the Queen's Guard. Free of their weapons. This is all absolutely baseless claim. Anyone with simple thoughts should reflect on themselves before they throw accusations at our benevolent Empress, or those under her direct employ here with us in Maddrift, such as the Queen's Guard and Extinction Keeper Laos. And I must have dozed off, Maddrift. I'm terribly sorry for this. I'm sure we all understand it's been stressful lately, more so than usual. I wasn't sure if I was going to mention this evening, but I received a complaint that has been heavy on my mind since I read it. It was a letter given to me, however, it's not here among my notes, and the contents of it seem to have slipped my mind now that I'm trying to recall it. It's there, I can't seem to focus on it and recall the words. Perhaps I shouldn't try too hard. Forget what I said, Maddrift, I apologize. We'll just pretend these last few moments didn't happen. On this may be a good time to stop the recording and let it replay itself if I can't even remember what I've said. If I can't remember what I said, I shouldn't continue speaking. I hope we all have a wonderful evening, Maddrift. We will now stop the recording and replay it.